She posted a woman's heart belongs to no one but herself on her travel blog minutes after I caught her texting her yoga instructor. I just smiled and kept eating my sandwich. But when she tried logging into her accounts the next morning, she discovered that empowered women also need to remember who controls the technical infrastructure they depend on. Look, I am still shaking as I type this. And I know how insane this sounds, but I need to get it out because I think I might have just systematically dismantled someone's entire digital life. Maybe she deserved it, maybe I am the monster. I honestly don't know anymore. I am a 35-year-old software architect in Denver, and for the past 4 years, I have been dating Madison Torres, this beautiful 29-year-old travel blogger who I thought was the love of my life. When we met, she was working part-time at a coffee shop and dreaming of seeing the world. I made those dreams reality, but more importantly, I built the entire technical foundation she stands on. I am talking about everything. I registered her domains in my name for tax purposes, set up all the hosting accounts, coded her website from scratch, configured her email systems, established her business LLC with both our names on it, managed her affiliate partnerships, learned photography to take those perfect Instagram shots. And here is the crucial part. I set up all the security infrastructure from day one. Every password manager, every two-factor authentication, every backup system, every recovery email runs through accounts I control because I was the technical partner. Madison Torres wasn't just her name, it was a brand generating $400,000 annually through Wanderlust with Madison, 200,000 Instagram followers, 150,000 YouTube subscribers, partnerships with hotels, airlines, and tourism boards. She hadn't worked a traditional job in 3 years because I turned her passion into a business while working 60-hour weeks to fund our life during the startup phase. But here is what I didn't realize until yesterday. Madison had started viewing me as the boring technical back-end, while she became the glamorous front-end. She forgot that without the back-end, the front-end is just a pretty interface with nowhere to go. Yesterday changed everything. Madison was upstairs on what she claimed was a business call with her content manager Kelly about upcoming partnerships. I was debugging code for a client when her iPad started buzzing with notifications on the desk next to me. We have always had complete device transparency, never had reason not to trust each other. The message preview made my stomach drop. God, I cannot stop thinking about last night. You felt incredible inside me. The sender was Kai, Yoga Flow downtown. I knew Kai. Madison had started his classes 6 months ago, raving about his spiritual approach and how he was helping her find her authentic self. She had been staying after for private sessions, coming home glowing and talking about chakra alignment and energy healing. I thought she had found a healthy outlet for stress from her demanding content schedule. I opened their message thread and found 6 months of explicit photos, detailed sexting, meetup plans timed perfectly around my work travel. The private yoga sessions were happening in his apartment. The spiritual awakening she had been posting about was code for fucking her instructor while I maintained every system that generated her income. The worst part was reading how they talked about me. He is so predictable and boring, she had written. Always working on technical stuff, never spontaneous like you. You make me feel alive again, Kai replied. When are you leaving him? We could travel together, create spiritual journey content as partners. Soon, Madison promised. I just need to figure out how to keep the business when I go. It is legally half mine on paper, and I have been managing all the brand partnerships myself for 2 years. That last part stung because it was partially true. While I handled all the technical infrastructure, hosting, security, and back-end systems, Madison had been managing day-to-day brand relationships and content planning with Kelly's help since the business grew. She had developed genuine business skills which made her betrayal more calculated than I would initially realized. I sat there for 20 minutes, reading months of betrayal, watching the woman I loved plot to steal the company I had built the foundation for. She was smart enough to know exactly what she was doing. Madison came downstairs, phone pressed to her ear, laughing about something. Okay, Kelly. Confirm the Costa Rica campaign for next month. $60,000 for the hotel partnership plus expenses. I will finalize the content calendar tonight. She wasn't lying about potential partnerships. She had confirmed deals worth hundreds of thousands that I had helped negotiate the technical terms for. She waltzed into the office, grabbed her iPad, and froze when she saw her messages were open. For a second, I saw pure panic before her expression hardened into defiance. "What the hell, David? You are going through my private messages now?" she snapped, snatching the device. "That is a complete violation of my privacy." I kept my voice level, deadly calm. "Kai thinks you felt incredible last night. Where exactly were you when I thought you were at that blogger networking event?" She scoffed, crossing her arms. "Kai and I have a deep spiritual connection. You wouldn't understand because you don't work on personal growth. This is exactly the controlling behavior that has been suffocating me." "Spiritual connection?" I asked, the words tasting like poison. "Is that what you are calling 6 months of cheating?" "I saw the photos, Madison. I saw everything." Her mask slipped briefly before she doubled down. "I am not going to be interrogated in my own home. I have the right to explore meaningful connections." "You don't own me, David." She grabbed her phone and stormed upstairs. "I am posting about this. Women need to know they don't have to tolerate controlling partners who spy on them." I sat there, feeling something cold settle into my chest. She was already spinning the narrative, turning herself into the victim before I had even processed what was happening. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed with notifications. Madison had posted a lengthy Instagram story and blog post about independence. The post started, "Just a reminder that a woman's heart belongs to no one but herself. You have the right to grow, explore, and form connections without a man's permission. Never let insecurity control who you become." 200,000 people were reading her empowerment post. Unaware she was a cheating fraud living off technical infrastructure I had built and maintained for 4 years. She was painting herself as fighting oppression while literally depending on systems I controlled. I looked at that post, then back at the evidence, and realized something crucial. Madison had forgotten that her entire digital empire ran on infrastructure I had designed with myself as the single point of technical control. Every domain registration, every hosting account, every security system, every backup, every recovery email existed in my name or flowed through my accounts, because I had built everything from a technical perspective while she focused on content and partnerships. She wanted to talk about women's rights and independence. Fine. Let's see how independent she was when the person who built and maintained her technical foundation decided to protect his assets. I spent the rest of the evening researching legal precedents for business partnership disputes, documenting everything, and planning a very careful response that would take place over several days, not hours. This wasn't about revenge. It was about protecting what I had built, and ensuring she understood the real consequences of her choices. Update 1 here is what happened over the past week, and why everything took much longer than I initially thought it would. After Madison posted her empowerment message, she spent the evening upstairs on video calls with what she claimed were brand partners, but I could hear Kai's voice mixed in. They were probably planning their spiritual journey business venture, completely unaware that I was beginning a very systematic process of securing my technical assets. I didn't do anything rash that first night. Instead, I spent 3 days carefully documenting everything and consulting with a business attorney who specialized in partnership disputes. This wasn't about petty revenge. It was about protecting intellectual property and business assets I would legitimately created. The technical security process was complex and took nearly a week to execute properly. First, I had to initiate domain transfer procedures, which require 60-day unlock periods and whose verification processes. I couldn't just instantly move everything like I would initially hoped, but I could secure access immediately. Since I had set up all the 2-factor authentication systems, backup codes, and recovery emails from day 1, I systematically changed passwords across every platform and updated recovery information to new addresses Madison didn't control. The key insight was that Madison, despite her business skills, had always relied on me for anything technical. She knew how to negotiate brand deals and create content, but she had never learned the back-end systems. When I secured those systems, she was completely locked out of the infrastructure that powered her brand. Here is how her discovery unfolded over several days. Tuesday morning, Madison came downstairs ready to engage with her followers about women's empowerment. She sat at the kitchen island with her coffee and tried to log into Instagram. I watched her reflection in the window as confusion, then concern, Then panic crossed her face. "What the fuck?" she muttered. Trying account after account. "Why cannot I access anything?" She tried her website admin panel. Login failed. YouTube Creator Studio. Access denied. Email management system. Password incorrect. "David," she said, voice starting to shake. "I cannot access any of my accounts. My website, social media, email systems, nothing is working." I looked up from my laptop with concerned expression. "That is strange. Have you been getting any security warnings? Sometimes platforms lock accounts if they detect unusual activity, all of them, at once." She was starting to panic. "This has to be coordinated." She spent Tuesday calling every platform's creator support, submitting tickets, trying to prove her identity. But since the recovery emails and backup phone numbers all led to accounts she couldn't access, every support agent told her the same thing. They had need to verify her identity through existing security measures, which could take weeks. Wednesday brought the real consequences. Her content manager Kelly called in a panic. "Madison." "What is happening?" Kelly asked, and I could hear the call from across the kitchen. "Tropical Hotels is asking why your Instagram stories haven't updated in 2 days, and your website is showing maintenance pages. They are expecting the Costa Rica campaign content next week. I have been locked out of everything," Madison said, staring at me with dawning suspicion. "Someone has compromised all my accounts simultaneously." "If it is everything at once, this isn't a hack," Kelly replied. "This is someone with administrative access. Who else has back-end control of your systems?" Madison's eyes met mine across the kitchen island. For the first time in our relationship, she looked genuinely afraid. "I need to call you back," Madison whispered and hung up. The silence between us stretched for what felt like hours. "You did this," she said finally. "It wasn't a question. I secured our business assets during a potential partnership dispute," I replied calmly. "Standard protocol for protecting intellectual property when one partner may be planning to breach fiduciary duties." "Fiduciary duties, those are my followers, my content, my brand relationships, our business," I corrected. "Torres Media LLC, remember. The entity we established for tax optimization and legal protection. You wanted the benefits of joint ownership. Now you have joint accountability." She stared at me like seeing a stranger. "This is about Kai, isn't it? You are punishing me for growing as a person. This is about 6 months of lies and planning to steal business assets worth $400,000 annually," I said. "I saw your messages, Madison. You weren't planning personal growth. You were planning business theft." Her phone rang, Kai calling. "Don't answer," I said quietly. She looked at the phone, then at me, then back at the phone. For a moment, I thought she might choose to fight for what we had built together. Instead, she answered. "Babe, what is happening?" Kai's voice filled the kitchen. "Your Instagram is down, and I cannot reach you on the business accounts." That is when I knew she had made her final choice. She had picked her spiritual awakening over accountability. Thursday brought a cascade of business consequences. Brand partners started reaching out directly to me since I was listed as technical director on most contracts. Hotels, tourism boards, affiliate programs, all confused why Madison's content had disappeared, and her communication channels were dark. I responded professionally to each inquiry due to partnership restructuring at Torres Media LLC content. Delivery may experience temporary delays. We will update all partners within 10 business days regarding fulfillment capabilities. By Friday, Madison realized the scope of what she had lost. She wasn't just locked out of social media accounts. She was locked out of the entire business ecosystem I had built around her personal brand. "Please," she said Friday evening. And for the first time, she wasn't defiant. "I understand you are angry, but I have obligations. The Costa Rica campaign, the affiliate partnerships. Kelly's salary depends on this business. You should have considered those obligations before planning to steal the business and run away with Kai," I replied. "Actions have consequences, Madison. You cannot betray someone and expect them to keep maintaining your infrastructure." She just stood there, finally understanding that her empowered independence was entirely dependent on systems controlled by the man she had betrayed. The legal demand letter arrived Monday, exactly as I had expected. Update 2: The legal battle has been more complex than either of us expected, but it is finally reaching resolution. Thanks for the continued support and the lawyers who reached out with advice. Here is how Madison's attempt to fight back played out. Her demand letter was exactly what my attorney predicted: emotional, legally unfounded, and based on a fundamental misunderstanding of business partnership law. She was claiming theft of assets that were legally owned by our joint LLC, demanding return of accounts that existed on infrastructure I had built and paid for. My lawyer's response was surgical. He sent back our LLC operating agreement with Madison's signature clearly visible, documentation of my technical contributions and intellectual property creation, and a formal counter-notice of Madison's breach of fiduciary duty to the partnership. But the real leverage came from those screenshots I had taken of her messages with Kai. My attorney included a motion for expedited discovery, stating we had evidence of planned business theft and misappropriation of company resources for personal affairs that damaged the brand's reputation. Madison's lawyer called within 48 hours requesting a settlement conference. The mediation took place over several sessions spanning 2 weeks. Madison walked in thinking she would negotiate for partial control of her social media accounts. She walked out understanding that she had signed legal documents giving me equal authority over business assets she had never bothered to read carefully. The turning point came when my attorney presented the message logs showing her plan to steal business assets and start a competing venture with Kai. Her own words, "It is legally half mine on paper," proved she understood the ownership structure, but was planning to violate it. But Madison surprised me during negotiations. She had hired a competent business attorney who pointed out something I hadn't fully considered. While I controlled the technical infrastructure, Madison had built genuine relationships with brand partners and had been managing day-to-day operations for 2 years. Her contributions weren't just cosmetic. The settlement we reached was more complex than I had expected. Madison agreed to a formal dissolution of our personal relationship and business partnership. I retained full control of all domains, hosting accounts, technical systems, and the Wanderlust with Madison brand identity, since those were assets I had created. However, Madison negotiated transition rights to contact existing brand partners and fulfill current contracts under a new business entity, provided she didn't compete directly with the travel blog niche for 18 months. She also retained rights to her personal image and likeness in existing content. Most importantly, she agreed not to pursue legal action regarding the account lockouts, in exchange for a structured transition period where I would provide limited technical support to help her establish independent systems. The whole process took 6 weeks, not the quick resolution I would initially imagined. Meanwhile, Kai had disappeared from the picture entirely. Apparently, when he realized there were potential legal consequences, and that Madison was facing financial hardship rather than running away with a profitable business, his spiritual connection evaporated. Madison mentioned during one mediation session that he had blocked her on all platforms and started dating another yoga student. The reality of losing both her business partner and her affair partner in the same month seemed to break something in Madison's confidence. She had gone from planning to steal a profitable business to fighting, just to salvage professional relationships. During our final settlement meeting, she asked me directly, "David, do you think we could have worked this out if I had been honest about Kai from the beginning?" I thought about it for a moment. Madison, honesty about the affair might have saved our relationship, but planning to steal the business I built, that showed me you never understood what we were partners in to begin with. She nodded, and for the first time in months, I saw the woman I would originally fallen in love with, underneath all the spiritual wellness branding and empowerment posturing. "I did understand," she said quietly. "That is what made it worse. I knew exactly what I was trying to take from you." The final settlement was signed last Friday. Madison has 60 days to establish her own technical infrastructure and complete the transition of any salvageable business relationships. As for me, I have been rebuilding the Wanderlust with Madison platform into something entirely new. More on that in my final update. The settlement gave me full control of the technical infrastructure I had built, but it also forced me to confront an uncomfortable truth. Madison had developed real business skills during our partnership. While I had been focused on the technical back end, she had learned negotiation, relationship management, and brand development. Her betrayal was terrible, but her contributions weren't worthless. That realization shaped what I did next. Instead of trying to become a travel blogger myself, I transformed Wanderlust with Madison into Torres Digital Strategy, an educational platform that teaches content creators the technical skills they need to build sustainable businesses. I kept the best travel content as case studies in brand building, but pivoted to focus on the back-end systems that make influencer success possible. The response has been incredible. Turns out there is a huge market for teaching people the technical infrastructure side of content creation. My course, Building Your Digital Foundation, has enrolled over 2,000 students in 3 months. I am teaching aspiring influencers about domain management, hosting optimization, email systems, backup strategies, and security protocols. The irony is perfect. Madison's platform, which she thought was about travel and adventure, has become a masterclass in the technical skills that make online businesses sustainable. Revenue has grown more steadily than my initial dramatic claims. The business is on track to generate about 60% more than what Madison and I were making with travel content. And it is more sustainable because it is based on teaching real skills rather than depending on personal brand partnerships. Madison's aftermath has been harsh but educational for both of us. Her attempt to rebuild as an independent travel blogger failed within 8 weeks. Without the technical foundation I had provided, and having burned bridges with several brand partners during our legal dispute, she couldn't generate enough income to sustain the lifestyle she had been accustomed to. From what I have heard through Kelly, who stayed neutral during our dispute, Madison has taken a position with a digital marketing agency in Boulder. She is using the business skills she developed during our partnership, but as an employee rather than an entrepreneur. It is honest work, and probably better suited to her actual skill set than trying to maintain a personal brand empire. I got one final email from her about a month ago. It wasn't the desperate apology I had expected. Instead, she wrote, "David, I wanted you to know that I understand now what I threw away. Not just our relationship, but the partnership we had built. I spent 4 years thinking I was the brand, when really you and I together were the brand. I am sorry for not appreciating that until it was too late. I hope your new direction is successful. You deserve credit for your contributions." It was the first time she had acknowledged the technical work I had done as valuable in its own right, not just support for her content creation. I replied, "Madison, we both learned things about business and partnerships that we couldn't have learned any other way. I hope your new job works out well. I am seeing someone new now, a UX designer named Rachel who works remotely for a tech company. Our relationship is refreshingly straightforward. We are both technical people who understand the value of each other's work. We split expenses equitably, and when we travel, it is for vacation, not content creation." Last weekend, Rachel was looking through the archived travel photos I use as case studies in my courses. She stopped on a picture from Iceland that had been one of Madison's most popular posts. "This is beautiful," she said. "The composition, the lighting, the editing quality. You really know what you are doing behind the camera." "Thanks," I said. It was from a different phase of my business when I thought success meant making someone else look good instead of teaching people to build their own foundations. "Both have value," Rachel replied thoughtfully, "but teaching people to fish definitely scales better than catching fish for them." That night, I archived the last of Madison's original travel content. The transformation from Wanderlust with Madison to Torres Digital Strategy is complete. I am 35. I run a growing education business, I live in a beautiful city, and I have learned to value technical expertise as much as creative talent. More importantly, I have learned the difference between being a silent partner and being an equal partner. Rachel and I are planning a long weekend in the mountains next month. She is bringing her sketchbook because she likes to draw while hiking, and I am bringing my camera because I have rediscovered photography as a personal hobby rather than a business necessity. If we take any photos, they will be for us. Real memories of a real relationship between two people who respect each other's professional contributions.